All right, guys, welcome back. I'm super excited for today's call because you are going to hear from someone that not only is a young, successful entrepreneur, but he's become a good friend of mine. He's a client of mine. He's somebody that just finished a 90-day program with me. And so, if you're wondering what it's like to be a part of the inner circle or to work one-on-one with me in a coaching capacity, or just what it's like to maybe step into somebody's shoes that is a guy that's really leveling up in every single way. I know this is going to inspire you guys, and if you're watching this, give you some things to think about because I remember when I was his age, I was not running a company. I didn't have employees. I didn't have the head on my shoulders that he does. And I remember the first time we talked, I was just really impressed with his vision for his business and his vision for his future. And we decided to start working together, and to say it was a fast few months would be an understatement because it just literally flew by. But I'm excited for you guys to hear this conversation, and I know you're going to be inspired. So, Mr. Logan Kaisser, welcome to the call, bro.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the nice intro there.
Yeah, you're welcome, dude. Well, I'm glad we were able to make this work. I know that you are. You're always working and building your business. I know you're sitting in your truck right now. Could you just tell everybody a little bit about who you are and a little bit of your background so they can just kind of get a sense of where you've come from and what you do now and who you are, bro.
I started losing weight in middle of high school. I followed a diet, the low carb diet that my dad was doing, and she got down to 165 pounds from like 189. And then life took over. I graduated, got through my electrical apprenticeship, started a business, bought a house with my girlfriend, just normal life things. And then I just started enjoying fast food and junk every single day. And then next thing you know, I was 212 pounds and got myself down to about 200, 205 without eating and eating no carbs. Then Richard reached out to me. Meanwhile, I'd been following him for a couple of years, and he finally reached out. And then, next thing you know, 48 hours later, we were on a phone call, and I decided to buy in and invest some money into myself, and it was totally worth it.
Yeah, bro. Well, tell me a little bit about like your business and how you got started with that, because I remember when we first started talking, like you were saying, how you have this huge vision for what you want to do with your company. You're in your mid-20s, so I mean that you've already done so much, and you have a lot of responsibility that you've stepped into.
Well, I told myself back when I started, I think I was 14 or 15, I wanted to work for Manitoba Hydro as a power line technician because I wanted to make $100,000 a year, and that was the only salary that said $50 an hour. And then got into that program, hated it, made the difficult decision to quit, gave up on that, and then followed through with my apprenticeship to become an electrician, and then decided, you know what, I got to follow my dreams and start a business. And now I realize it's not even, my goal isn't even to make the $100,000 a year. It's to impact as many lives as I can and be in the community and build a business that has a reputation that's like a family.
Yeah, and since you got started, with this program, and since you and I first started working together, you said like, I want to inspire my guys and I want to help build, culture in my company, and I want to set the bar and set the standard for the guys that work for me, and really kind of, show them what it means to live differently. And so what has that been like for you, or how is that going so far? Because I know that you've definitely done that. I'm sure you've definitely inspired them to really, to maybe drop some of the vices, or maybe start hitting the gym, or maybe start, thinking about, taking care of themselves differently. But what has that experience been like?
Yeah, a lot of guys I work with, the guys in the company and just other guys, my social media guys or my marketing guys, we all work together, and they was like, wow, I noticed a big improvement. You're looking thinner and better shape, and how's it going? And we'd always bring up the chat. And yeah, they've, a couple guys have quit vaping and have, got off of any bad habit they had and are eating a little bit better and healthier choices and not eating out every single day. Because I'm not saying, hey, let's go get McDonald's for lunch. We might stop and get a pepperoni stick or something like that, something a little bit healthier. And everybody's noticed it.
How were you feeling at the time? What were you experiencing as far as like, your energy, just your overall like fitness level, and what was it like before you started? Like, where were you at that point?
I was so focused on the business and not on myself that I was tired. I was sluggish, didn't want to do any work. Going up in the attic would be absolute hell. Never wanted to do that. And then, about a month and a half to 2 months in, I'm like, there's an attic job. I'm going up there with the guys because it's fun. I'm nimble. It's easy to do all that now.
Yeah, so I mean, like when you've been sending me pictures, like these progress photos, and I've been seeing like obviously the differences in where you were to where you are now is massive. But like, what would you say was like the thing that surprised you the most about like just getting started? Because I mean, you said you had experience with like trying to diet differently and cutting carbs and obviously have experience in the gym and stuff like that and training. But it's like, what was the thing that surprised you the most about the program itself? Like what were you, was there anything where you were just like, dude, I can't believe how much of a difference this particular part of the program is making, or what stood out for you the most?
Well, I remember the first day I started, took my creatine, had to chug down 4 liters of water throughout the day, which I thought was next to impossible. Now I'll do 4 to 6, depending what the day is. And I'm always craving water now. And then the 200 grams of protein the first couple of days, it was crazy. You were so full. I'm like, this can't work. And now, if I'm at 100 grams of protein for the day, my body knows it. And then I'll, before, in the evening for dinner, I'll have a super high protein meal. And you store the first couple of days, you feel full, but you don't feel sluggish. So it's weird because you're, reloading your body with all this protein and water, but you end up losing weight. Like I remember the first week I was like down like 5 pounds, and then I was down another couple. I was down to like 191 one morning when I weighed myself, like maybe a month in. Then after that, it started creeping up. But I think that's because all the working out was building muscle.
Yeah, it's funny how like, when you start eating high protein, it's like your mind's kind of playing tricks on you because you're like, dude, this is a lot of food. And then you drink that much water. And then that also kind of curbs your appetite so that you're not necessarily as hungry for like the stuff that you would normally eat. But when you switch to just, more water and hydrating yourself properly and getting that hydration up, and then you switch to high protein, it takes like maybe a week or two, and then all of a sudden like you settle into it and then you see the results. Like I mean, you started building muscle quite quickly and you started dropping weight and body fat quite quickly, would you say?
Oh, 100%. I remember 2 weeks in, I was down a belt loop, and now I'm down two and maintaining that. And it's crazy with the creatine. Every morning, like throughout the day, as I was drinking the water, I could feel the muscles. Like it almost felt like I had a pump when I didn't work out yet, but I could feel the muscles being bigger. Maybe it's some placebo effect, but I felt really good. And it's funny, I had a bad stigma about creatine because I heard horror stories about it, but it's not that bad. Just don't take 7 scoops a day or anything crazy.
Yeah, like, the thing with all the information that's out there right now about health or supplements or just, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. I think that, the thing that for me really allowed me to make sense of it all was trying to simplify it down to like what's essential and what's not, right? And so when you take a look at like creatine, for example, it's funny how like you get this physical benefit, like muscular benefit, strength, stamina, all these things, but then you also get this like cognitive benefit where you all of a sudden it starts to wake you up, like you start thinking clear, you can make decisions quicker, and like you feel it mentally as well. And that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about was like, I know when I do the calls and we would check in, it's like, how are you doing physically is the first question. Then how are you doing mentally, or, vice versa. And always getting a number from you of like, well, I feel like an 8 or I feel like a 9 mentally, but maybe you feel like a 7 physically because, you had a bad sleep or something like that. But that was rare. I mean, you were sleeping good, but what did you notice about, the connection between the physical and the mental health aspect? Like, was there anything that stood out for you in that regard? Because I know that like you were already in a pretty good place, mentally. I mean, you were like, pretty positive dude and like you got a lot of good things going on, but like, was there anything that stood out for you between just the relation between the mental and the physical health?
Oh, the more you work out, the better your mentality is. Somebody says the best way to beat depression is to work, 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 work. Well, you should work out as well. And, working out's the best cure. It's better than any antidepressant out there. Like, just work out. Even going to the gym, like Justin Waller says, he's a big believer in lazy workouts. Just tell yourself you're going to do 6 curls, and then you start going, the blood's flowing, and then you're in there for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one day you said to me, you were like, dude, I was just, things were not going well and you had some big decision to make, or, I think you had some receivables to collect from some customers or something. And you said like, dude, I just went to the gym and I just trained. And then all of a sudden, like everything just worked itself out. And I was like, I remember we talked through that, and that was pretty cool, man, because that's something that I realized, years ago, is like, it doesn't matter if things are going well or things are you're hitting some big roadblocks or challenges, or there's like some problem that needs to be solved, or maybe everything's going amazing. But when you make your physical health and your workouts and going to the gym and just getting in there and just starting, like doing something, right? Or going in and saying like, okay, I got 30 minutes right now, or I got 45 minutes right now. It's amazing how everything just tends to work itself out after that. It's almost like you kind of like iron out the wrinkles in the day by doing that. Would you agree?
Yeah, and it all comes down to thinking clearly, right? Because you get better blood flow when you're after a workout, or if you do a fast. I remember I was hour 24, 28 of a 36-hour fast, and I found a way to get a bunch of cash in my pocket. So if you can't think straight, or you're at a roadblock, just don't eat for 36 hours. Drink a liter of beef broth and a bunch of water, and take your supplements, and it'll fix things up.
Yeah, what was that like for you with the fast? Because I know that you, like, we talked about it before, and you were like, okay, like, I'm gonna do this, this fast, and I kind of have like some questions, and you were like, okay, like, how do you think I should do it? And so I kind of walked you through it, and then I remember you telling me after you had this massive breakthrough, and it was like, I think a lot of times we think about fasting as like a physical thing, like you're gonna cut weight, or you're gonna be down 3-4 pounds, or you're gonna look leaner, which all that's true. What was like, tell me what happened exactly during that fast for you, because I know there was like some major stuff that went down for you.
I remember it was 9 p.m. on a Thursday. I ate a whole bunch of sushi and carbs and just loaded up. And then it's best to do it where you start at 9 p.m. on whatever day, then don't eat. So in my case, didn't eat all of Friday. Then sitting there at night, I'm thinking, okay, how can I liquidate some cash? Figured out some ways and actually broke down the numbers, was thinking straight. And it worked out to, help build the business more. I remember going to bed. It was like 11 p.m. I went to bed, slept great, up at 6 a.m., almost felt hungover because I was so hungry, right? And then I had steak and eggs and decided to go bike 30 miles. So I did that. Well, I'm excited about one other thing about the program. I finished in 90 days, and now it's probably about 120 days. Haven't had a sip of alcohol. That's a lie. I ordered a Virgin Caesar, and I tasted it. It had vodka. So there was a little bit there, but it wasn't on purpose.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
anyways, didn't finish it. And so I'm over 120 days now. I have no desire to go back. Like, I just came back from a trip in Vegas and didn't have any booze. I figure I saved myself over $500. I've been, ever since like the 90 days hit, I went down to 3 workouts a week, 3 hour-long workouts a week, and been maintaining, anywhere from 150 to 200 grams of protein a day, just depending on the day. And I actually took a week, 6 days off when I went to Vegas, but I came back more energized and ready to do it again. So what's the word? The mind shift with everything is what keeps you going. And now, like, if I'm out and about, I'll stop at a Sobeys or a Safeway and get pre-pulled rotisserie chicken and some sushi, and I'll eat that for lunch. And it's $18, but what would it have cost health-wise if you were to go anywhere else and get the junk food? Big Mac meals $16 nowadays. And yeah,
Wow.
what's coming with the business? Actually, I have 2 important meetings next week. I'm sponsoring the university team here, the hockey team. A buddy of mine plays, and he brought me in as a sponsor, so I'm sponsoring him. So I'm sponsoring there. I got a big banner behind the benches and everything. And then I got a meeting. I sponsored a kid at the local hockey team out here in Selkirk, which is like 30 minutes north of Winnipeg. And one kid wasn't able to play.
Wow.
So, due to financial reasons. So I said, hey, what's it going to take to get this guy here? This is the price. This is, okay, I want this from you guys for advertising with it. And he's like, no problem. So I'm on the front page of the paper next Thursday. I'm meeting with the kid tomorrow. We're doing a bunch of community service stuff. We're going to be in the Christmas parade. Your phone listens to you whenever you say anything. And I'll mention one thing. And next thing you know, it's up on my screen. As soon as I started the program, my whole For You page wasn't really, it was half business. It was used to be all business. Now it's business and fitness. And everybody's trying to sell a course, right? And all this stuff, but it's all business on there. So if you start eating right and you start talking about it and, start working out, like if you're wearing an Apple Watch or whatever, it's going to tell you're working out. It sends stuff back because that's what you're going to see now. And confidence is way through the roof. And when your confidence is up, you're willing to try anything, right? Like, when your confidence is up, you'll walk into a room, and I forget who said it. I think it might have been Bradley. He says, you got to walk in like you own the building, or you don't give a shit who owns the building. And now you just walk in like, if I'm going into sell a job, or going into, like, when I got this new truck, I went in and knowing I'm making a deal today, and people see that. It's like an aura. That aura farming video where they do that on the boat. Stuff like that. Like, people, confidence, a lot of people get pissed off with it, but you can be confident. There's nothing wrong with it. And being in shape definitely helps. Now, I've seen big dudes have great confidence too, but deep down, do they really? You know what I mean? Yeah, just get in shape, dude. I don't know what else to tell you. I just say anybody it doesn't matter if you're young or not, you're starting on the entrepreneurial journey. I heard a quote. It says you should be humble enough to know you can lose it all, but confident enough you can gain it all back and then some. So take the risks. Don't be afraid to take the risks. I took some. There's situations where I had to get out of a couple, different routes I went, and didn't pay it off. Look at your books. Make sure things are tight. I was always scared to look at the books, but now I look at them every day to see, where you can save money. And actually, during that fast, I found a way, to save myself, quite a bit of money every single month. And there's always ways to save money. And whenever you're in a room, remember you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's why you look at the richest people in the room. Like, I was in a room last week with guys that, were worth well over $1 billion. I shook a billionaire's hand, and, they don't say much. They compliment you. They say, thanks for coming, but they don't say anything that sounds cocky, but you can just, when somebody's wealthy. And then, guys that are blowhards trying to, act like they're wealthy. I'm not going to say any names, but people probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not really building a personal brand like you are, but then follow Platinum Power Solutions. I believe it's Platinum Power Solutions. Let me double check. I don't really ask that many people to follow the Instagram, but it is Platinum Power Solutions Ltd Limited on Instagram. And I do lots of giveaways. I'm trying to do one every quarter here. I got some Jets home opener giveaways to promote the new brand here we got. And then, some new service contracts are rolling out here in the next couple weeks. So big savings in there for anybody who wants to join in. And
I'm super proud of you, bro. Honestly, it's been amazing working with you. I'm excited to see you in March down here when you come down, and to get you around the guys. And it's gonna be great. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how you continue to have success as well and continue to level up, bro. So thank you so much for coming on.